You are listening to the podcast To Be Single or Not to Be by Shanna Montana, a podcast where we talk about the single life, dating, and relationships so you can make a decision at the end of each episode to be single or not to be. So today's topic is relationships at work and if they are situations that people should really dabble in or if they are ones that should be left alone. And now I've had my share of relationships and dealings with people at work, so my opinion may be a little biased. However, I wanted to have a conversation about this so the listeners will know where they should stand and if they are in the midst of a relationship at work, whether it be a work husband, work wife, or actual relationship, how they should move going forward. So that said, I wanted to bring on a couple of regular guests that I'm sure you all are familiar with. So first, we have our in-house wife, Tori. Say hi to the listeners.
Hi, my people.
Yes, glad to have you back. And we have another favorite. Say hi to the listeners, Mika.
What's up, everybody?
Glad to have both of you ladies back in the fold today because I know that you guys can add some insight to this very interesting topic that we're going to talk about today. So let's kick this thing off. So we've all heard people affectionately use the term, work husband, work wife, but in you guys' mind or idea, your opinion, what's the actual definition you would say of a work husband or a work wife?
Well, I must have had the wrong definition because I think the definition has evolved over time.
Okay.
Because in past, my work husbands, I never were literally attracted to and wanted to be with them.
Okay.
It was just like a genuine, organic friendship, and I just so happened to meet this person at work.
Okay. Yeah,
so
they definitely have evolved from that.
Yeah, that's definitely how it happened. But then the older I got, and I guess because I got in a serious relationship, I realized that work husband, work wife, that relationship is not as black and white as I thought it was.
Yeah.
But that was my definition of it, and still to this day, because I don't necessarily agree with just jumping into like an actual relationship or a sexual relationship with anybody you work with. But that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, that's my definition of it.
You might have been a little naive back then,
I think so. I was a little sheltered, but I'm grown.
And now you see the light.
I see the light.
Right. So, Mika, what would you say? What's your definition of it? Is it a little different?
So I gotta do personal, and then I gotta do, coming from the side of hearing people talk about their relationships, where I've the definition I've heard get people for the lack of better words, messed up in life.
Okay. Okay.
So my personal definition was more along the lines of, Tori, aka T baby. It was, the sense that that's that person that makes work enjoyable, the person that has my back.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Because they are of the opposite sex, or maybe the sex that we find to be attractive, we automatically tie that title of husband or wife because it's like the ultimate sense of loyalty, and we feel like if the ship was going down, they was going, they was coming down with me.
Right.
Or better yet, they was gonna be the one person, no matter what anybody else said, they won't have my back. So all sense of the words, it was like a to death do us part type thing, but only for, but for work. Look, ain't nobody finna, as long as I'm here, we ride and die together. We in this together.
Absolutely, because some people get in that situation. It's like, especially if it's a job you don't like when you're younger. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you quitting, I'm quitting too.
Exactly.
So,
right. We better both have a plan. What's the plan?
Right. We got to get out of here together. But I definitely love that definition that you gave because it provides great clarity and has the understanding, I think, of with that companionship. It's like your work bestie, but it's a deeper sense of loyalty there.
Yep.
And like you said, I even read somewhere where your work husband or work wife does not necessarily have to be of the opposite sex.
Nope.
So that's kind of like the work bestie, because you might be like, I may say this is my work wife, but it's like this is my work best friend. This is who I come to, and sometimes those relationships, turn into real friendships outside of work. Mm-hmm. But then sometimes it's just people that you are super close to in work, and that's it. And when you leave work, you don't talk outside of work. But when you are at work, that's what it is. So it's that loyalty. And I think, as we talked about a little bit before we started the episode, is that sometimes when you are younger, we tend to seek out those relationships of a work husband or work wife. Sometimes when you don't really like your job,
Mm-hmm.
you may be bored and you may just like, I know for me, I used to be like, let me at least have somebody here cute to look at, when I come to work. That gave me a sense of motivation some days.
Yeah.
Like if someone's over here, at least I can look at him and get through the day, versus having to deal with the job. So why do you all think that people tend to, I would say, I'm not gonna necessarily say get in those relationships, more so kind of like veer to those titles when sometimes it may be a little taboo to do that if you already have a partner?
So I think that goes into like the second definition I was gonna give on
Okay,
that.
perfect.
In terms of what you get messed up is
Okay.
when people turn to work husband and work wife because home life ain't right. So
Ooh.
you literally turn into this person at work and it becomes your escape. And then you start
Yeah.
making comparisons like, well, he or she at home don't do this, but he or she here seem
Ooh.
to get it. Or
Ooh.
he or she at home, ain't been listening and I've been saying I'm not happy. Or he or she at work all of a sudden just come up like, hey, I noticed you ain't smiling no more. I like your hair.
Yeah.
I see you changed it. Like they picking up on things that like me and you go to bed together at night and you ain't getting it. So how they get it
You
more?
ain't picked up on it. Right,
So
right. So
it's that. And then
yeah.
that turns into not only envy, but that sense of grass is greener. And you don't know what that person do at home. You only see them for 8 hours. And them the 8 hours they trying to
Right.
get paid.
And trying to keep their job. But you're right. That's how people get messed up, because that mentality of the grass is greener, or somebody, because a lot of times if it is like a work husband or work wife, you're probably telling them about all your personal issues so they know what's going on. And so they're able to kind of fill in that gap. And that's how you get messed up if it's somebody that actually maybe you all may be attracted to one another. Because you can be attracted to somebody that be your work husband, work wife, and still keep it platonic. But
For sure.
if you are attracted and somebody starts feeling away and somebody start coming to work bringing coffee and somebody asking like, y'all still having y'all little problems, then, you tend to go down that road of getting messed up, as you said. So,
But I think, oh, go ahead.
no,
I'm
you're
sorry.
fine. Go ahead.
I think, when it comes to relationships too, I think we have to stop necessarily thinking of work relationships as being so different from outside and personal relationships, because relationships are relationships. It don't matter where you meet this person, the I don't know, the different ways that y'all interact. A relationship is a relationship. So
Yeah.
each relationship deserves boundaries. So if
Right.
we're going to be open and honest with each other, and I know, like, let's say I don't have a work husband, but let's say I had a work husband. He knows I'm married. I know he's married.
Right.
Or let's talk about the only work husband that I've ever had. He was in a relationship and I was in a relationship at the time. We never crossed those boundaries. We even went to grad school together. So we worked together as well as went to school together.
Right.
We never crossed those boundaries. I don't even know if he would be considered work husband because we never really even went to lunch together. But we understood, like, it was certain things I wouldn't go to him like, oh, today Mel was just getting on my nerves. He would never came to me like, oh, I think, what is his wife's name? Sierra or something like that. Anyway, he never came to me. It was like, oh, me and Sierra having these issues, because we understood the aspects of our relationship.
Right.
And
You all have respect.
we gave each other boundaries. Right. So I think when it gets to a point where you may feel like you're attracted to somebody and you have somebody at home that you should respect, or if you have any issues at home, you still owe that respect to your partner, not to go anywhere else outside that, whether it be a work husband or just a mutual friend that outside of your relationship. There is no reason why a work husband, work wife, or a friend should know what's going on under your roof,
Right.
or in your
So the piece,
I agree.
oh, I'll say
the
piece I want to add to that is when we talk about we talk a lot about relationships on the podcast, establishing boundaries, languages. Just from a career perspective, for me, if you can't establish boundaries or understand what relationship love is in your personal relationship, those boundaries are already blurred.
No way.
So it's easy for you to be at work and not realize you falling in that trap, because once again, you haven't defined for yourself what relational boundaries
what that
look
looks like.
So it shows in all areas of your life. So work will be no different.
Right.
And also with friendships and other things, the reason why sometimes we find that we have kind of similar relationships, but with different people in different areas of our life, is because there's different I want to say protagonist and antagonist in every scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And work, it
Right.
may be your job, it may be, I mean, it may be your boss, it may be a similar coworker, but you form alliances. So
Right.
because of the lack of boundaries and forming those alliances, that's where you find yourself with a work husband, work wife. And sometimes you find yourself with them at grocery stores and other places. That's a whole nother podcast series. But, you know, you find that you got things you doing because of a certain person instead of what you're supposed to be focused on.
Right.
Because if you don't create those boundaries, that's how you end up with.
You gotta create the boundaries.
A work husband or work wife, you gotta work boo, and you
like that's your man at this point.
It's your man, and you are your woman, and you just calling it something else, you know. So, do you all think, you know, and this goes to your point? Do you all think there's a fine line that can be easily crossed if people play this game?
Most definitely,
for sure.
What does that look like? You know, what does crossing the line look like with your work wife or work
when
husband?
you texting them? First of all, if we at work and you got my number, that means it's almost like
I was about to get. There's a certain time, like I can count on one hand. I have like 2 guy friends, and I'm married, so I have like 2 guy friends. They know after 8 o'clock, it's nothing we can talk about. What are we talking about? What is that urgent? And you talking to me after 8 p.m. Like, what are we?
Right.
Why you texting me? You shouldn't be texting me how you doing, all that different stuff. There are very fine lines that's why I said, that's why boundaries are just so important, because it takes that communication to say, okay, because I'm in an outside relationship, this is what, or even if you single, like, I'm not comfortable with doing this because I don't want to breach that line while I'm at work.
And I say it's almost like we, work for me, it's like that scenario where you almost like you set up a divorce and we talking about custody of children, or we just talking about if it ain't about the job, don't hit my line.
What we talking about?
And you know, maybe we're talking about professional development, even if it's I'm helping you with your resume or something, and you talking about you want another job, or just how do you come up in the company, because mentorship happens too. Like Tori said, we got time limits. Like, don't hit my line at the you know, our established outside of work business hours.
Right.
That means we not setting up dates. Like, it ain't no, oh, you want to go to the mall with me, or even gifts. Like, you gotta establish like boundaries on that. Like, oh, I know your favorite color. For instance, my favorite color is yellow, and everybody at work pretty much knows that. And I got like this gift because somebody did notice one day. They were like, yo, you hadn't been smiling as much, etc., etc. So as a team, we bought you yellow flowers. But if my quote unquote identified work husband was to be like, oh, I noticed you ain't been smiling, so I bought you some yellow flowers, like, that's a red flag on the plate.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, like
a flag on the plate.
Yeah, you know, so those types of things are even, you know, for established holidays, like, oh, it's Valentine's Day, and I know that, you know, your significant other at work and they couldn't get off because you told me about it. So how about me and you go out after work? Like, or I'm gonna take. Or even people don't realize it happens within work time frames. Oh, he taking you out for dinner, so let me take you out for lunch.
Yeah. Or want to just bringing you lunch, or just doing little things that it's like, okay, it's cool. I'm glad you thought about me one day, you know. Because you know, if somebody being platonic, like, oh yeah, like they gave me an extra coffee, you want it, you know, so, or something like that. Or if they just like, you know, it was payday, I thought about you, girl, you know, I just set the coffee on your desk. It was nothing, you could tell that it's platonic, it's nothing more going on there. But when all those patterns of things that you just talked about start to happen, especially the contact outside of work, then that's when, you know, and if it's not in a group setting. Now, you know, in some work environments, people have things where they do hang out. They may go to dinner as a group, go to happy hour, whatever. Some people hang out like that. That's different in a group setting. But if you on one off, like, hey, what you doing tonight after work? You're like, what? Why, you know, what do we? Why you want to know? You know, what's going on there? So I think we absolutely have to understand what crossing that line looks like, and be aware that I think what's also important is that, because you cannot control what somebody else does. If somebody is attracted to you and they cross the line in any of the ways we just named, I think it's up to the person that's on the receiving end to shut it down.
I was going to say that too. It's also your responsibility to be like, even like I say, in a relationship or single, and that work husband or work spouse comes to you on a level you're not comfortable with, or that you're just not there for. It's up to you to say, like, hey, I'm not cool with that, or hey, I really appreciate these flowers, but don't don't bring me red roses on Valentine's Day again, because my man will come up here and find you.
Or to refuse it, to not even accept the gift.
Oh yeah, just to refuse it. It's up to you. I think at work, those fine lines are so hard to navigate for certain people because you don't want to end up in a situation that have you without income. So
report it to HR.
And you have to think of reporting to
so
HR for the relationship itself too. Like if you in a situation where you feel like, oh, we gotta hide this from other coworkers because
it's a problem.
HR says we must notify them if we in a work relationship, and now I'm having to wonder like, dang, like would HR consider this a relationship I should have notified them about? Because that ain't what I feel like, but other people looking at me sideways.
And people, let me tell y'all something. This is a story I went through because we'll get to this, but I dated a coworker. Yeah, slaps hand on the wrist. But it was so crazy that, you know, we could have been, because at the time I wasn't in like management or anything. So it was just like two coworkers, like it wouldn't have been an issue. But because we are, you know, we were like private people, we just, you know, we weren't gonna go out and make an announcement. I think like if people, but no, then people, so people are so nosy. Let me tell y'all, we literally bought these, because we would kind of talk to each other at work, but it was like in passing because we worked on like two different sides of the building. So like we might meet up in the break room, but we did things to keep it very like non-suspicious. Let me tell you all how people started to put clues together. We both bought this water bottle that had a filter in it. And they looked exactly alike. I think he had a blue one and I think I had a purple one. Literally, one of my friends was like, you and so have the same water bottle. Like, are y'all dating?
Y'all don't drink water around here?
I was like, what? I was like, how are you even paying attention to our water bottle? Like, people are crazy. People are nosy. And so at that point, you know, I lied. I was like, oh, no, I'm not dealing with that person, you know. But that was just something to show, you know, if you have to, I think if you are at a higher level, if you do have to report it or you have to, if we would have had to keep it private or secret, then that is a clue that, yeah, we probably do not need to be doing these things.
Right. That the line is being crossed.
So some studies, though, even when we talk about, you know, crossing the line and what that looks like and us being the person that has to set the boundaries on both sides of it, some studies actually show that these relationships, work husbands or work wives, may be a good thing. Do you all
they definitely benefits.
Yeah.
So tell us more about that. Like, what benefits would be like? What's the positive side?
I mean, you got I know I got a partner in crime, and I know I got somebody that like when things aren't going. If we have, let's say we have a business pitch to do, and we in a team a group, just like with schoolwork. I know that I got somebody I can go to that's gonna make sure we pull this off, even if everybody else is slacking. Or I go in knowing I'm not alone. I know there's somebody else that values this just as much as I do. It's also someone that, you know how it's like, oh, for some relationships is we're not going to discuss work outside of work, like, because that brings drama at home. So what's happening in one area of our life does not go into the other area of our life. So I have somebody that I can discuss the drama of work with, not my personal life, but what is happening professionally, and we can have a common discord and then come up with solutions together and break. Like, they go to total, move on.
Absolutely.
So
it's your vent buddy. You get to do it at work.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. It's a support system. So that definitely has its benefits, especially at work. Because work, unfortunately, is the source of people's stress oftentimes.
Right.
So to have someone that can actually relate, it's one thing if I can come home and talk to my mama or my significant other and like say, hey, mom, I'm stressed out. My mom is going to be like, okay, baby, I understand. But at the end of the day, she's not there. So talking to somebody about work, like a solution, as Chemyeeka said, or if you're having an issue at work, they can help you navigate that issue just because they understand the work environment, the work culture. They know people at work. You have somebody looking out for you in terms of promotions. It's so many benefits to it.
Absolutely. And I think too, also with the current climate we know in America right now, sometimes it's good to have that person to sometimes talk you off the ledge. Because you said the stress that goes on, sometimes you may wind up in situations where you may not know exactly how to word that email. You may not know how to start that conversation, or you may need to run it by somebody you can trust to say like, hey, how does this sound before I send it, or to bounce ideas off of, or just to make sure like to calm you down if you have been in a situation with someone, to make sure that you keep your income. So I think that, you know, it's absolutely, making sure that you have somebody there who has your back and that sense of loyalty, and you have an understanding that we are here to support one another. And it doesn't always mean that you have to have the title on it. It may even be something that to your friends, you may even say like, oh yeah, girl, I was talking to my work husband today. You know, or, you know, it could be something you tell people outside of work if you mention them for whatever reason, like, you know, what was happening, but it doesn't have to be anything actually with the title title that you put that the person may know about.
Right.
So I want to ask this: do you all think that, you know, we talked a little bit about the pros and the cons of it? Do you all think overall, you know, based on the good and the bad, that it is a good idea or a bad idea to have a work husband, work wife? If you had to have a
I
vote
think
right
it
now.
depends on why do I feel the need to put the title work husband or wife on it? Like, why is this person not just their name? Like, what makes it so deep that I gotta say that's my work husband or work wife?
Chemyeeka hit it the nail. I was gonna say it depends on your intention behind this work husband or work wife. Like, if you're going to work, like, oh, let me find somebody. Let me find me a fine young gentleman. Let me find me a fine woman I can find to like connect with. That's a little different than to say, let me see somebody I have something in common with professionally that I vibe with, that we can create that support network here at work.
Yes. And it naturally happens. It's not anything. Most times it's not anything you go and seek out.
Right. So that's why I was like, it depends on your intention behind it. I don't think there is any harm in having one. It just goes behind intention and creating those boundaries to make sure that you're not going beyond what you actually intended out for the relationship to be.
Absolutely. Having intention and boundaries, I think, is most important. So I definitely don't, I say it's not a bad thing if you have those things in place. So have either of you ever had a work husband? If so, like, how did that work out? How did that come about?
See, I wasn't old enough at the time to have a work husband. I've had work boyfriends.
Okay, so
right. I was gonna say, yeah.
Look, so tell us about that.
At the time, especially like, you know, I'm thinking undergrad. See, grad school for me was when you got into corporate, when I got into corporate level jobs. So I wasn't trying to do no relationships like that. Like, I was about money. I'm still about my money, like, and, you know, get to where I want to be professionally. So I feel like that's an area where, like, I'm not going to slip up on something I know is preventable. But in terms of undergrad, like, you know, that's when you learning yourself. That time where for some of us, for me, coming out of high school, like, no longer living under my parents' roof and being like having really, really strict rules, but having my own set of like morals and values. It was that time where, like, because it was multiple. So, like, it's a time where, like, those were the guys that, like, were offering insight into a man's
Did you say it was multiple?
Girl, she was a player.
Not a player at all. It was like, so because I've always had multiple jobs. So because I had multiple jobs, there was always like a guy or multiple guys who were like, I hate to use that, oh, they your big brother term, because like that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. Like, that you really see them as your big brother, or like you just calling them that so that like don't nobody attack if you got a crush on that
connection.
But it was always a couple of guys that were quote unquote willing to give their insight. Like, you know, like, man, y'all, because they would always speak to like a group of us together, or sometimes it would be individual conversations, but like that, y'all don't need to let these dudes play y'all, especially my freshman year. Like, don't be known as that freshman. Like, here's what you need to look out for. But they were also the person that was willing to like help show me the ropes in the job I was doing. Or they were the ones that were reminding me like, yo, you always about business. Like, when you gonna go out? Like, this group holding this party, or, you know, there's a, you know, something going on off campus. Like, you need to be there. And I was like, when I don't have a car, and even when I did have a car, like, oh, I got this to do or that to do, I'll help you finish your work so you can go. Or, you know, my girlfriend coming into town, you know, my homie, like, be the wingman for me, and, you know, come with my homie, we go on this double date. So, like, even then, like, it wasn't necessarily a boyfriend because they were trying to hook me up with other people, but it was that person that, for lack of a bit, like, for all checking all the boxes, they had the loyalty. They seemed to have a vested interest in me and seeing me do better. But they were of the opposite sex, and by no means would I say they were unattractive.
So it sounds like, you know, at the time you understood the intention and you had things set up appropriately. So Tori, have you had any experience with it?
Experience, I would say yes. I don't know if by today's definition of work husband have ever had one. No. I like how Chemyeeka said work boyfriends.
Yeah.
And work friendships. I definitely had one. Now, I've never given anybody that label. It was a previous job I had, and this one guy, like I said, we were in grad school together. So we had classes together. So naturally, he would come to my desk and be like, "Oh, did you do such and such homework?" We were like those type of work friends. And then we realized, because we went to school together first, then realized we worked at the same place. And so then we would go on group lunches like with a few of my other coworkers. So I don't think other people gave him the title of my work husband. I didn't give him that title because I just didn't see him in that light.
In that way.
But then when like I said, I was like 22 at the time, 22, 23. So now that I'm looking at the definition of what, you know, obviously the general public looks at work husband, we were definitely not that. But we were definitely really good friends. So on that aspect, like we were just, when I would see something and I knew he had certain strengths in this area, I'd be like, yo, you should apply to that, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Or we would chat about things because it was definitely drama going down. Without saying where I worked, it was partly a call center. So, you know, if you have any experience in the call center, you already know. It goes down in a call center. So it was always drama going on. We would talk about that, figure out ways we could work around that. And like, I'm really big on like standing up and speaking out in the workplace about different things. So he was my person to go to, like, look, I'm finna send this email. Should I send it or not? Should I add this is what I said at the end, or
I
not?
said what I said.
I said what I said. Per last email, we would get on go to each other for things like that, but we never crossed those boundaries. So I said I was in a serious relationship. He was too. We were both engaged at the same time. We would go to each other about like, oh, what are y'all doing at y'all wedding? We doing this. Like, it was strictly platonic. So I was like, I don't know, you know.
So I think that, but no, by your standards and what you and Chemyeeka both talked about, those are the standards of what it should sound like. And that's why I asked, you know, what was your experience like? Because based on what you all described, that's what it should be like and nothing more. So I want to ask this: how can someone tell the difference if you have a work husband or work wife and one person is starting to catch real feelings? And I want to say this: insider.com states there is a tendency for people to have an emotional affair with their work wife or work husband when things are not really going well at home. And it says, I think they really need to be aware that an emotional affair can sometimes be worse than having a physical affair with someone.
Yes, because that's yes. I think, you know, when you cross the line, when you're thinking to yourself, would this be okay with my significant other?
Yeah.
Or you're doing things and you have to check yourself. You know, oftentimes we know when we in the wrong already. So it'd be something and you'd be like, wait, I probably if you're second guessing anything, a text message, an email, a lunch date or whatever you want to call it. If you a look, if you notice that side eye, just let it go.
So what I would say is, because we haven't necessarily touched on that, I don't think anyone has effectively had a work husband that was also their significant other. So I think that's way to define it. Because if you dating somebody at work, you dating somebody at work. Very rarely is that, oh, that's my boyfriend and my work husband. Because even once your work husband becomes your boyfriend, usually the relationship shifts at work. I don't like it. That's what it is.
It definitely shifts.
In terms of knowing when that happens, it's when, like you said, you feel the emotional investment. But I think also the factor of when you can't even be yourself at work no more, because that's when you start to really care about how you look to that person. Before it was, oh, they like me for who I am. And now it's, man, how am I dressing to go to work? Like, am I wearing these uncomfortable? Like, am I wearing these uncomfortable heels? I'm gonna be, you know, we're gonna still wear the flats. Am I gonna do my makeup? Or, you know, like, it's just it's
splitting skirt, or am I
getting cute
that? And then also the way your conversations are, like, are they starting to dominate the conversation more because you starting to, like, you know, no longer talk or be as boisterous? Because one, you wonder how other people looking at y'all interactions now, whereas before you didn't care. And then two, also that fact of, I don't want them to feel like I'm undermining them or I'm gonna make them look bad. So what used to be healthy competition now becomes oh man, I gotta be careful because I don't want them to think I'm trying to hurt them intentionally. Like, when you got to start adding all them things to the table, then it's probably time to check yourself.
Absolutely. I agree. So how do you what if you find that you are on the, like, say, the receiving end? We talked about the boundaries, but if you're in a situation, you know, and you start to see this happening, like, oh shoot, I think he might kind of like me. He's kind of, he sent a text, or he looked a certain way, or he said something real slick, try to throw something in there. You know, what do you do if that starts to happen? Or, like, how can you prevent that from happening?
I think, well, for one, you can't prevent anybody's feelings, because if you're genuinely being yourself,
right,
it's like it's nothing you can or cannot do to make somebody just not like you.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the passive aggressive way of handling it if you want to like change your personality so you think they won't like you anymore.
Yeah.
I think, but like I said earlier, kind of referring to what I said in terms of like work relationships, we have to think of it more on a broad spectrum than to think of it so
yeah, like one scope. Like
so like one scope, because it's still a relationship. So I think it's just a matter of communicating to that person like, okay, so I'm not looking for that type of relationship. So if that's what it is, then we can just agree to disagree. And from this point forward, it can just be a formal, hey, bye relationship type of situation.
Yeah.
And at this point, you probably know him or her. And you know how to say that in a way that they should receive it.
Yeah.
And if it goes down here from there, and then at that point, unfortunately, you probably would have to get in touch with HR. Like, okay, so I stated these boundaries to this person and it's not being respected in the workplace. So I just want to make sure, I touch base, put this down on paper officially.
Absolutely.
So if anything happens in the future, it can't be said that this wasn't addressed or tried to be addressed.
Exactly.
I think Tori hit the nail on the head. It's effective communication all the way around. And I think too, it's like important to model that, because I've seen, so another reason why I think I haven't necessarily had an actual work husband or work wifey is because I've seen them and seen the after, or even heard about them in my sessions sometimes with clients and been like, this a whole affair and ain't nothing physical even happened.
Yeah.
But just thinking about the fact that I never want to be in a place where either one of our actions are impacting each other's coins. I don't want to be there. And people can ghost each other even at work, and it's so awkward. Like, we working together and y'all not talking, y'all don't see each other. Like, now I'm like, does that mean everybody else got to go to HR because y'all creating hostile work environment? Like, what?
Right. Or do I gotta act like I don't see him either? Like,
So I think effective communication is key.
I think you have to. Now, being that you said, you hear about things in your sessions, of course, I'm sure you hear some wild stories. Have you all ever dated a coworker?
No. No.
You haven't?
No, I am not a fan. Let me tell you why. And it has a lot to do with what Chemyeeka just said. I am just not a fan of working. Now, I have a good friend who is currently engaged, not necessarily to a coworker, but somebody, they work for the same company. Okay. But they literally never see each other. It's a beautiful relationship. I mean, I don't work with them, but outside, since I'm their friend,
right?
It's a beautiful relationship. So it's not that I don't think it can happen. I just know 9 times out of 10, it just does not work out that way. So
have you had a personal experience that kind of veered you away, like somebody
No, I just never worked with anybody that I don't. Maybe I'm
never worked with anybody attractive enough to even date.
I just, for one, and I don't go to work with that mindset. Like, I go to work, mind my business, do what I gotta do, teamwork great, production great, boom, I'm headed home. Like, I don't.
And I think that comes with maturity, because I would say when I did it in my mid-20s, I definitely was I had just gotten out of a relationship. So it was like a rebound kind of situation to some extent. I was very vulnerable, young, kind of ignorant to things. But what I find now at this age is like sometimes when I travel with different sites, like I work with some attractive men, but like you said, that thought does not cross my mind to date them. But what happens is I form great relationships with them where actually, like, a lot of times when I'm in different cities, we all will go out as a group, men and women, and we'll go have drinks or something. So it's like, I enjoy being around them as someone. I'm not just in my hotel room. I enjoy their company. I enjoy being able to talk crap about work when we get outside of work. But it's always a mix. I don't single anybody out. And we always make sure it's like a handful of us. So, that shows a level of when you do grow up, how you have to be mindful too, because I think with dating a coworker, for me, I think it's not always the safest idea, because of some things you all mentioned, that if things go left and you want to work at that company, we know how terrible breakups can be. And you don't want to break up with somebody and you have to still look at them every day and possibly work closely with them. And then, when you're in love, you're in love. But when you're not, when it goes to say it was good till it wasn't good no more. It was good till it wasn't, so it's like when it's not good, then, men can be just as spiteful too. So now, you may be getting left off of meeting invites, not getting information. Things can go left to the point, again, your income is in jeopardy. So I think that, you just have to be really smart, mature, and just be mindful. It doesn't matter if, I know the celebrity crush a lot of people have is, Idris Elba. And I don't care if he looks like Idris or Michael B. Jordan.
First of all, if they look like
not
that,
Michael B.
Yeah, so Michael B. Jordan. Like, I have a friend. It's so funny bringing up Michael B. Jordan. I have a friend who she used to work for the city of DC, and so Michael B. Jordan came to their job for some kind of event, and she was talking about how nice he was, and she sends me this picture because she knows how much I like him. Like, so hugged up on him, like snuggled next to him. She was like, "Girl, he smells so good." Like, I was like, I was so mad, girl, when she sent that picture. But I was thinking, like, if I worked with a coworker that looked like him, it would be very hard. I would probably have to get another job. It's
discipline.
Because too, also a man that looks like
that was my
him,
thing.
Everybody.
And somebody told me, they were like, he what did they say? He smells as good as he looks, as in like he smells delicious. And I was like, bro, can you imagine that walking around your office like
a scratch and
fake cookies? Like, oh, we done.
Like a scratch and sniff. I just want to scratch you and sniff you. Like,
Yes.
You have to stay away. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you just have to have that level and understand that, being able to know, when it's a good idea, when it's not. And I think as you get older, I think especially once you reach like 30 plus, I know for me, it's like, no, it's nobody in here that looks that good for me to reset. Like,
and I think too, what taught me about it was, I hate to sound like a sappy violin player person, but even outside of like relationships, like now my outside of work relationships, when I was younger in high school or in college when I was dating a guy, none of my relationships ended well.
Yeah.
So it was always the guy being like extra mean, and like I just know at a breakup you never want to see that person. So I think going to work, I was just kind of like, I would never cross that boundary because I know good and well if this ends wrong or badly, I am not going to want to come to work every day.
Yeah, but quit my job, I quit.
So
it's just going to be a hot mess.
And then if you break up and they start dating somebody else, possibly
girl, I'm like the building on fire, and then
everybody got to die.
So for me, it's a no. I don't think it was necessarily because like there weren't any opportunities. It was just I've like in undergrad especially, I was always emotionally unavailable, even if I was single, because I was in a on-off relationship. So, and I think everybody like pretty much knew that, which is why I think the relationship with the men on my job was pretty much like here's how you handle dudes. Like, here's how you know if they cheating. Like, here's how you know, like, that's a lie. Like, that excuse don't even make sense. I'm an athlete. This is what we do. Like, that's, type scenarios. Or one of them, like, man, Sammy, I'm him. Like, or I'm better. Like, playing a whole musical. Like, let me show you how he ain't it so I can show you how I am it. And for me, that kind of turns me on when, I'm in a relationship and you basically, like, let me know you waiting for me to be single. Because then I'm like, if I'm in a relationship with you, I'm going to be wondering what other people are you telling that.
Right. It'll literally do that. Like, you put something out there, once they find out you're single, they like, I've been waiting on this moment.
Yeah.
And then they still
be like, wow, all my life plan, and you just like, bro. And then like, even now, like the past couple of years, oh Lord, a lot of years now, of being single, I think I've been more easily identifiable when it comes to relationships crossing the line, because I do spend a lot of time at work or in the community doing certain things. And it's like, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, like, dang, like, even if this was the route I wanted to go, like, I don't want like either one of us to be somewhere and it'd be like, why people looking at us, a certain kind of way, or especially if you quote unquote talking to somebody. Like, work was how I learned to ask the question, like, nah, sis, you need to ask him not if he dating somebody, but is anybody dating him, and is he talking to anybody?
Is anybody dating him? Right.
If your phone ring at midnight, it's a female that thinks she can call you that time of night and be like, I just want to come over. Girls need love too. So yeah, I know y'all a lot of song quotes, but like, honestly, work was where I noticed a lot of this stuff. It wasn't necessarily in my personal life, but my work life. Like, dang, people really do exactly what they do in their personal life sometimes at work. Like, this is basically like what happens outside, quote unquote, in the real world on a like organizational level, in which you can like literally like assess and like watch the different relationships. It's like people watching. Like, oh, to it.
Yeah. And you literally see it, you know, so many times. Like, I literally know at one of my jobs, I watched a man I know for sure was cheating on his wife all the time. Like, he was a married man, and it was a girl that was always at his desk. Always.
Yes, and
I'm like,
other come to every job, you gotta be on convention.
Everybody looking down like, oh dang, she here. I hope old girl don't show up, or they here. I hope he don't show up. Like, I don't nobody want the type of rumors.
Literally, it was like sunshine. Dang, look, I'm saying something. One of my jobs, somebody they had let like a group of people go, like a rip. You know how they come in and they fire like a pack of people, and they had fired, I think, like the girls group, and she literally came running to his desk, but he wasn't there. I'm like, look at her going over there to talk to her husband, and I'm like, he's so married. But it's crazy, like you said, the things that you can literally learn at work by just watching and being aware of what's going on. You will learn what not to do at work.
Even being so, like, even when you get into a relationship, or maybe, Tori, you already see that because you are married. Like, when you show up to the work picnic, I now know in the future, okay, what these facial expressions looking like as I'm walking around holding his hand, like, who's staring too long, who whispering, and then to even be able to look at him and be like, oh, that's so and so you was talking about, huh? Because she showed looking at you out the side of her eye. You gonna hear when you get back to work. Like, tomorrow morning,
she looking real hard.
You gonna have a case on your hand, like, you know.
Yeah, get ready. So do you all think that, what do you all think it'll be any issue with having, and this goes back to not just dating a coworker, now I think about it with a work husband or work wife. Do you all think there's any issue that lies with having that if you're a single person?
Speaking for the single community, yes.
You give a and Chemyeeka gave a.
I know, because this is such a like an impactful conversation. I think this is a very slept on topic, but I think as a single person, it has just as many issues as it could have as if you're in a relationship or married. Just because when you're single, unless you're single and grounded, your mind could just be so many different places, and certain things can be crossed that you don't, boundaries can be crossed.
Well, no,
you don't have as many boundaries.
You should still have all the boundaries.
Well, I'm saying like your boundary of like the boundary
is different.
If it not turning into something else, like if you're in a relationship, you know, this can't, like, he can't cross that line of like flirting with me. If I'm single and he flirts, I might, you know, laugh it off or flirt back.
Right. You have the option too. And then it's kind of like, you also still want to be aware of those, because some people don't understand boundaries. So even if, like, let's say somebody starts flirting with you, Shayna, and then you kind of giggle but walk away, that should be a signal to him, like, oh, she thought it was cute what I said, but she ain't really openly available for me to flirt with. Some men are not, or some people in general are not that
smart,
emotionally aware, right? So they may keep going and keep going. So that's why you just
have for me, I think it's that sense of it could be problematic, especially if being emotionally involved on the job is stopping you from actually developing relationships outside of work. Like, you so invested because you think something at work about to turn into something that you aren't even like open to to somebody who may be trying to, like, you know, wife you up outside of work. Or somebody who actually genuinely interested outside of work. And then your feelings get hurt when you find out, you know, work hubby or work wife was literally playing the role because they, you know, they did work to get the job done. And when y'all established that relationship, it became more productive, or they valued or got something of value more out of that. They were more productive, etc. Because you have to look at that too. Like, there's a reason why these relationships come into play. There's a reason why they last so long. Like, somebody is winning, somebody's getting something from them. But what hurts is when what that person is getting from them is not the same thing as you or the other person is getting from it.
Absolutely. And I think also, to add to that, sometimes if you're single and you have that work husband or work wife, and you may you start to, because you're single, and if you're seeking a relationship, you're in that stage where you're, trying to date with a purpose. You may start to form this idea or imagine this relationship with this person that's not even,
Right.
that it could even happen, because they may not even
Then
like
plan the
you like
wedding.
this. You've created a scenario in your mind, and yeah, you done plan a wedding, and this boy is not even looking at you that way, and then you may, shoot your shot and get embarrassed when he shoots it down. And then, a lot of times, especially when you're newly in a relationship, whether it's at work or not, you tend to be so encompassed in
I
it.
was
You
gonna say
probably will
that.
start slacking on your work, because you at his desk all the time, or you watching what he doing. And then you will get into your imaginary feelings, because you will start to, he'll be talking to other women, and you just assuming everything. Oh, he over there, he flirt with her, he talking to her. But you are just making up all these scenarios in your mind. And then it goes back to what we said, the root of the cause. You ultimately are causing yourself
And then you end up
anxiety and
hating your
stress
job because things
unnecessarily.
aren't going the way you want it to
And
go with one person or something like that. Yeah, it could definitely
exactly.
be a hindrance. So I don't want to say, it could be a good or a bad. It just depends. I guess it's a situation to situation.
Yes.
Right.
And I just want to throw this out there.
How you approach
just
it.
because he or she invites you to church,
you ain't gotta go.
invite you to happy hour, that don't mean them y'all spot. Like, please don't start doing that.
Yeah.
The house of God is for everybody, and wherever y'all went for happy hour, I'm sure it's open to the public.
Period.
So don't get caught up in that.
Right. You are right, Pete. This eye spot. You walking in here with another girl, you feeling some kind of way. Boo boo. That was not for you. So you have to be. So tell me, it's going back to coworkers. If you decide that you are okay with dating a coworker, what is something that people should consider
they should
before
consider their
jumping out the
outside
window with the
lives, because
coworker?
I think oftentimes this is one of the reasons why I'm just like, girl, you can't find nobody else. But I think oftentimes we meet somebody at work and we just become when I say we, I just mean in general, people, we become infatuated, or wherever we may meet somebody, we can become infatuated with who that person is in that setting, not realizing that they have a whole whole life. Right. I was like, at work,
Different
I am
life.
Tori Augustus. Outside of work, I am T. No, I'm just kidding. But no.
Yeah.
I mean, my work and my personal life, although I am the same personality-wise to a certain extent, it's two different people. Like, when I meet different people outside of work, they're like, "Oh, girl, you look cute Saturday." Like, yes, sometimes I do look like an Instagram model. But I think you have to think about the full spectrum and keep core to your values. Don't just fall in like with someone just because, oh, their smile is beautiful, they come to work with breakfast every morning. Just I think sometimes work relationships can start off a little shallow because you really don't know who that person is. It's completely different from meeting them in Target or just meeting them at a park, because at least you're meeting them and they're comfortable, like they're in a comfortable setting versus at work.
I think for me, and I think
sense.
the number of times we've talked on this show, people can kind of gather. Sometimes I have all or nothing mindsets. And this is one of those moments where, like, when it comes to work, especially as you're trying to, like, either climb the corporate ladder because you want that sense of achievement, or in some cases, it's literally because you need that comfortable income. Nashville, an expensive city. You have to think about what you are willing to possibly give up. Like for me, it's like we've all stated, like, privacy. I don't want HR in my business,
right?
Like, beyond the point they need to be. So if I gotta like, literally, if we serious, I gotta identify the HR. We in a relationship, especially depending on our titles in the job. For one of my jobs specifically, the organization that I work for, because of the type of organization it is, like, you would have to report relationships to HR, like, not to be, fraternizing with coworkers type situation. Yeah, so, and then it's like,
and it makes
okay,
sense
are we on the same level in the hierarchy of the organization, or am I higher up than you? Are you higher up than me? Like, all of that comes into play. Also with that, does your position have the ability to impact where I'm going? And if I were to say something, am I in a position for you to feel like this relationship is genuine, or is it, oh, they bringing you coffee, sis, because they hoping that you give them the next, job gig that comes in, where you identify who should take it on, or they bringing you coffee because they want assistance with this resume, etc. Like, so even to help identify how their actions are being true or genuine for what they want versus how you see them based on what you need. So I think those are things to consider. And then just even in terms of actually having the relationship, not HR or how that, like, how it impacts your job. Is this somebody you truly feel like you want to see outside them 8 hours? Like, you done seen
That's what I'm
8
saying.
hours. You get vacation days from your job. You get time off. Like, is this somebody you truly are like, it's almost like being on quarantine without being on quarantine. You really want to see them 24/7? All the time.
Right. All the time. You want to see them 24 hours a day now?
And then y'all, everything that you want to talk about, like, you can't go home and possibly be like, oh, this job sucks, or oh, these coworkers getting on my nerves, and just leave it at that. Because then it's like, hold up, who we talking about? Is it my homie on the second floor, or is it your girl? You know, like, they know a lot about you that literally no areas of your life anymore are private.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And I think you have to, something else you pointed out that really stood out to me is like, as you go through the company, because I know in a situation I was in when I did date a coworker, we eventually, he ended up leaving the company for other reasons. He got a better job. But at that time, I did continue to level up to the point where I might have I could have become his manager. And then I would have had to go report that to HR. And then, stuff gets out, other managers in your business. And it's like, oh my God. And then you start looking at, okay, do I really want to date somebody make less than me in this situation? So you start running into a lot of roadblocks at the first, couple of lustful
or
months.
Your next job interview when they're asking you, well, I see you had a team of 16, but you only managed 15. What happened to the other one?
Yeah, why did you have to move this person over to another team?
Like, okay, well, this interview's over.
That's not dude. Yeah. Like, how did that? Then they ask, how did their relationship come about? And it's just a whole can of worms, Pandora's box that you don't want to freaking open. So this is another question I have. So should people, or do y'all think this really happens? Do people really leave their partner? They real partner?
I've literally never heard of that. So like preparing for this podcast, I was like, wait, what? I've never heard of that. Just because, okay, I'm what they would call, well, I guess I'm definitely a relationship girl now. I'm married, but before I was, out of my friend group, I was known as the relationship girl. Like, oh, Tori, when she's in a relationship, when she's dating somebody, that's like, she's not even into like peeking into other things, trying to see, what's out there. So I guess I was just kind of thrown. Yeah. I'm thrown because how do you meet somebody at work, and get to the point, and you also have something else going on, and get to the point where you decided that the person that you met at work is better than whatever you got? Like, I guess I'm like, how much? You must have 48 hours in one day. Yeah. Because how do you even have that much time on your hands to figure out two people and then decide to go with the one person that you only know about 8 hours out of the day? I'm so confused.
8 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm so confused.
They're not figuring it out.
You don't. Yeah. But Chemyeeka, you were saying like, yes.
One,
so like,
you're not putting on the hat to figure it out. It's the grass is greener complex. And it's like I said at the beginning of the podcast, like, this person is coming in, showing you their best self. They're advocating for you in ways that your significant other is not, because one, your significant other is not present. And depending on what areas of your life are bringing you fulfillment, if work is bringing you fulfillment because your home life isn't, then of course that man or that woman on your job is going to seem more, attractive, or even more like, okay, I can build a life with this person, because technically what you base and building your life off of, they're there. The other person is not. So it's all about prioritizing. And then some ways that other people can kind of see examples in, like, what we see a lot, TV shows that a lot. It's not even a joke. Like, the things we see on how those dramas are like written, I'm pretty sure that somebody will write that storyline because they lived through it.
Right. The story came from somewhere.
When you think about Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married 2, she was dressing up, he was bringing her flowers to work. Like, she was invested in that relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
What is it? Tyler Perry's Marriage Counselor? Like, Tyler Perry just have a lot of movies to show these things. But that plane ride, and then even Grey's Anatomy, Richard and Meredith's mom had that whole affair. Yeah.
They are the ultimate
Like,
coworker show. Everybody dates everybody.
exactly, like on call
They
rooms are
make you
on
think
call
all
rooms.
doctors are
They
like
on
that.
call like, but like Richard and Meredith's mom had a
Yeah.
whole affair, and
Yeah.
then I hope I'm
And
not
had a
spoiling this
child.
for somebody, but they had a kid together, and then
Had a whole child.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
then
If
on
they ain't
top of
watching by
that,
now,
like
girl, it don't
when
even
she
matter.
told him she was gonna leave her husband for him, he was like, "I can't leave Adele. I'm sorry," and it literally. That woman had a mental
Yeah.
breakdown and couldn't
Like I
even
can't leave
function in
my
her
Yeah,
work.
for
real
sure.
life because of the life she had formed with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's on that note,
Just
why
being
you stay
at
your ass
home,
with your
like it's
partner at home.
nothing. I think too, human nature, anything new is like, wow, what's that about? Like, let me fill this out over here. But
Right.
at the same time, you have to think to yourself, how long did it take you to get to know the person you're in a relationship with? And do you really want to basically, do you want jeopardize that or your own
Jeopardize
integrity?
that.
Trying to see what it's like over here, because of course he's bringing you muffins in the morning, sis. Your hair is laid, your nails are always done, you look really good. Like that's why you're in a relationship now. This, of course, he's doing these things.
Yeah.
And if we're being completely honest, in terms of relationship, you have to be intentionally in a relationship. You have to always make sure, like people say, happy wife, happy life. Or you just have to make sure you doing the same things you were doing in the beginning to keep things going. And you for one, you have to make sure
Right.
you want to, but you have to be intentional about those things. Like, let me make sure today I bring him a cup of coffee or make him breakfast this morning because I know this is going to be a long week for him, many meetings. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. In the beginning, you're doing things like that just naturally, just because let me try to show him I can cook. Like you know how some people are like, let me get these things together. So of course,
Yeah.
this guy is like sweeping you off your feet. He's being the best he can be because that's how it always is. But that doesn't mean the relationship may be better. I just never understood how somebody, just the whole cheating thing, it just really bothers me. But it's just like, why
doesn't
would
make a
you
whole lot
leave
of sense.
what you
And
intentionally worked on, a beautiful relationship, for something else? And if it's that bad where you're considering leaving somebody for somebody you barely know, you probably should leave that relationship. And go figure yourself out. Like,
leave
that
it
relationship
and
probably
go
isn't
figure
good to
yourself
begin
out.
with.
That's
So
a-
it's not even about being with somebody else. You probably need to be by yourself.
And that's a great
with.
point, or a great place to go to therapy. Like if you find that you having you dreaming about your work husband while in bed with your husband, time to process through some things. And you don't even have to go to marriage therapy, sis. Go, sis or bro, go to individual therapy and get that off your chest, so you can process.
Because something is wrong.
Or just
Right.
maybe nothing's wrong, but just process through why is it that you seeing that person, or subconsciously you seeing that person in a different light than what you may be displaying in reality. Because it may not even be that you even have the emotions may not have actually have even come yet at work, and you dream about that person, because sometimes the dreams is what leads to you feeling the real emotions, because you're trying to figure out if your dream trying to tell you that's what's
going on.
So a great time to process with somebody, because
Right.
the sign of your work husband or work wife being more comfortable than your home husband or home wife or significant other outside of work is a sign that's telling you like there's a problem there that you need to work on, because you should never be finding more comfort in somebody else.
Yeah, it's absolutely a problem
sure.
there. So this brings us to the resolution segment of the podcast. And on this one, we are going to just have a quick roundtable discussion to get our final thoughts on the subject at hand. So ladies, at this point, do you all think it's cool to have a work wife or work husband? And is dating coworkers really the move right now?
I think it's perfectly fine having a work wife or work husband. I think it's beautiful to have. I even encourage like a whole friendship work circle. Like,
yeah,
I think it's beautiful to have a support system in the work environment, especially being a Black professional in the corporate world.
absolutely.
I feel like that's something that is highly needed, especially in terms of climbing up that corporate ladder. Having someone that you can relate to in the work, in your work environment, that can actually come to you with not only advice but tips on how to do better, and just be that venting partner. I think that's a beautiful relationship, but I also think we have to be mindful in terms of boundaries, so that so that lines won't be crossed for either you or the other person or anybody in that group that you may consider as your work friendship circle. I think as far as dating, seriously dating, someone that you work with, I want to leave it up to you if you feel like you want to date that person. Me personally, I would not. But those are just my personal beliefs because I believe in strong boundaries and I never want to cross those lines. And I believe in going to work, minding your business, doing your job,
and going home. And going home. So what do you think, Mika?
I think that I'm gonna differentiate and say that I think it's okay. Or one, I think you need to have a support system at work.
Right.
Like we can't get through life nowhere without any type of support system. So support systems at work
for sure
are definitely needed. Work wife, work husband. I feel like if you have strong boundaries and you understand the title you're giving that person, but the actions that are associated with it, cool. But if you're a person that does not have strong boundaries and you got a actual wife, an actual husband, or a significant other, if you can't introduce that person to them, that's a no-go.
Yeah.
It's a
like
no.
You don't need two of something. Like this is not the time to think that more is better. It's quality over quantity.
Right.
Make great quality in the one you got and establish the correct role or title to the person at work.
Right.
So I think then in saying that, then I'm against work wife, work husband. The support system is a must. Like you can have a sis or a bro at work. You can have, just that person that you like, that's my person. But when it comes to work wife, work husband, you don't need somebody that you establish a title to that technically comes with paying homage.
Right.
Because you ain't giving that person that.
Right.
Sure. And then in terms of dating, I'm a no on that. Only in the sense of right now in this climate between Corona, what's happening politically, our coins are important.
Very.
You need to be, getting a savings together. Like there are things you need to be focused on. And a relationship with another person at work is not it. It's having the relationship that you need to get to where you need to be to make sure that you are financially stable.
Right.
And
right.
That person cannot provide that. Them providing for you emotionally ain't really gonna help you when you out on the street afterwards. So
sure.
And you said not really gonna help you when you out on the street afterwards.
No,
seriously.
So
you think these people your best friend?
Yeah. So I need you to be like it for this episode. I am pro you or pro me. So I'm the relationships may be great, but in the climate that we're in right now, you need to make sure that you're secure. However, that needs to
be. Your bag is secure, and I absolutely agree with both of you ladies with the statements. And that work wife, work husband. Let's just say get you a support system. Don't rely on especially if you're single. If you are looking for a relationship, because you may be looking for that work wife or work husband trying to fill a void, and you're going to fill the wrong one. I think that support system is essential. And then just dating coworkers, period. Right now, it's a no for me, dog. It's a no. It's a no. So absolutely, thank you both for coming on today's podcast. We're trying to push through Corona. Your opinions are always valued and appreciated. Give yourselves a round of applause for a great show. And on that note, you guys should know where to find them. I want to ask you guys to tell them again, just in case they forgot, where they can find you online.
Well, I am on Instagram at I am Tori, Tori, Brianna, Brianna. I still have my blog up at www.awkwardprofessional.com.
Wonderful.
And you can find me on IG and Twitter at POSITIVELYMYEEK, Positively Meek. And my blog is the same thing, www.positivelymeek.com.
Wonderful. We love to see it. So again, thank you, ladies, both. Your opinions are always valued and appreciated. And on that note, we'll be right back with the Montana Minute.
See ya.
We are now introducing a new segment to the podcast. This is called Living Single. We want you guys to send in any of your relationship questions, if you need advice, or if you just want to give feedback on the show on a topic that we've discussed. Feel free to DM them on Instagram to Shanna Montana, or you can inbox me on Facebook, Living Single, and we'll definitely be touching on these topics on each episode going forward. And now this brings us to the Montana Minute. The first thing, Be sure that if you're going to play the work wife or work husband game, you are taking it for what it is and nothing more, because it can be a dangerous game if not played properly. The next thing, if you decide to date a coworker, please remember that relationships don't always last, but jobs have to. And you may not want to put yourself in a position where the relationship ends and you're stuck looking at said person every day after a breakup. And the last thing, if you find someone crossing a line in the work wife or work husband relationship, be sure to end it immediately before someone gets hurt in the process. So all of that said, be sure you follow our Instagram page at To Be Single or Not To Be and get ready for the launch of our Savage Summer collection dropping on July 3rd, 2020. So now I leave you with the question, to be single or not to be. Signing off, yours truly, Shanna Montana.